So, they've added a ton. There's been I've started. I wanted to look at some of the changes and everything, and I was thinking, well, so a lot of these are changes. I wonder why they made these changes. I know a lot of people are sort of upset about some of them, so I wanted to take a look, a bit more of a deep dive at what the stuff actually is. So essentially, to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, in the original game, you'll hit a certain point in the story where you will run into this character, Larry Chang. He is, well, that's, I guess somebody modded a horse hat on him. Is there, hold on, is there like a better picture of him on here? Okay, so it's sort of like this. He's a stereotypical sort of Chinaman. I know we're looking at the wiki whatever, but it's got like enough contained info. So yeah, here's stereotype for him. In question was the belief that East Asian Americans ate animals unusual for consumption in the U.S. and had poor safety standards. So obviously it's a racial stereotype, and then in the remake, they have decided to change him to look like this guy. So he looks not like a racial stereotype. I think there's a couple potential reasons. I think one is obviously the Chinese market is kind of big, and to have a character in a game literally be making fun of Chinese people is probably not the best thing to be having in it, especially if you want to sell copies. You know, this game isn't like a Resident Evil where you could put whatever in it and it'll sell a billion copies. Like, this franchise has been dead for 10 years. You know, this is probably our last chance to save the franchise for probably another 10 or so years. Like, if Deluxe Remaster does not come out and sells well, I'm confident Dead Rising will die for a while. So if there's some of these changes like this, I can totally see being like, hey, you know, so that way a certain demographic that has a big fucking market that people like Disney consistently bend over backwards for. If we can get money from them, that'll help save the project and revive the games. I also wouldn't be shocked if they looked at this nowadays and were like, you know, I don't think I want this in my game. I don't feel like I'm happy with putting out a new game and one of my characters looks like this. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and say that's personally what I think. That they're like, you know what, we don't have these same sort of views anymore. Let's update him visually. I don't know why they couldn't just keep it as a China person or like a Chinese man. I guess they felt a big American would kind of fit a bit better. I guess. I'm curious to like when we get to this point in the game to see like if it's any different. It seems like a lot of the dialogue they've tried to keep similar, so I don't know. We'll see. Granted, none of his dialogue was particularly... Was it particularly... Oh, fuck, hold on. Let me pause the music. Okay, so I guess sort of spoiler for a game. Does he have anything that's specifically... I just want to hear his dialogue.
A customer.
If it's anything specifically that they'd go in the more Chinese, racist way.
That guy over there. I mean, that meat.
Oh, this is good meat, huh? I just got it in here. It's fresh. You just wait right there, sir. In a moment, you can try the best ground meat you've ever tasted.
Whoa, ground? Wait a minute, listen. I had something else in mind.
Zombies are no good.
So far, there's nothing that couldn't be said by an American. Like, there's nothing that's specifically like, oh, it shows off the character as Chinese.
Have a reputation to uphold.
I'm gonna speed it up a little bit.
I'm a butcher. I've got the best meat in town.
So far, there's nothing, and I don't remember there being anything specifically. And then here's the boss fight. Okay. Yeah, so I don't think there's anything specifically. Any real problem. What about when he dies? Hold on. Always using Cliff's machete to the left. Okay. No. Okay. Yeah, and then he dies there. So yeah, I literally see no real reason, I guess why they couldn't keep it a Chinese guy, but just make him less stereotypical. I guess having a design like this is a bit more fun or more jolly. And they didn't know how to make it Chinese without looking racist, I guess? Maybe? I don't know. Overall, I don't really care that he's getting redesigned. Personally, I would, if I was putting out a design like this, I'm trying all the fucking skin grabs. Yeah, if I put out a design that looked like this big guy, I'd also kind of be like, well, maybe we could, you know, give that one another glance or another relook. Just a little bit. So I wonder if the guy who made this was just kind of racist. I think that might have been it. This guy was just kind of racist, whoever designed this guy. And then nowadays they're like, well, maybe we went a little far. Maybe that guy's not on the team anymore. Maybe a new fresh set of eyes 20 years later looked at it and went, well, maybe we don't want this. I think that's more likely, honestly. I think it's more likely that somebody just looked at it and went, no. As opposed to like, we gotta appease the woke mob, the left. We don't want Twitter to yell at our game. I think it's mainly that. And then also, naturally, you want to make as much money as you can, and to some degree making fun of a certain demographic, like in China, especially with how finicky the China market can be. I think it's just going a safer route. I think it's a combination of those two, as opposed to gotta go woke, gotta appease Twitter mob. Speaking of, here's this. Oh yeah. What was it? I saw this in here, and I don't think this is accurate either. They redesigned the Deluxe Remaster's face contours, so changing his race from Asian to white. With his last name being a possible Taiwanese origin, means he was likely redesigned to avoid controversy with mainland China due to recent conflicts with the Taiwanese government, when tensions have risen with the recent elections. I doubt that. I don't believe that. I don't know why. Because, I mean... Oh, hold on. Is Jiang surname Chinese? Jiang is a Chinese surname. And his last name is Chiang. So yeah, I don't think that's accurate. I think it's what I said before. During 2600 BC, derived from the yeah. Okay, all right. I think that's it for Larry. I think that's all the important stuff. Let's close this, and this. So another big thing is this is just the article I could find on it. In the original game, or I guess also in the remaster, Frank West is a photojournalist. He is at Wilmette to sort of get the scoop on the place. He has his camera with him, and one of the big mechanics, or a mechanic in the game, is you can use the camera to take pictures. And the pictures get put into different categories based on, like, certain what's in it. There's, like, a lot of blood and stuff. It's gory. If there's, like, something funny, it's outtake. Yeah, I was gonna say comedy, but no, it's outtake. And if there's stuff like boobs and vagina, or, like, cleavage, it becomes erotica. And I guess in the remake, they decided to remove the erotica section because it's not required or appropriate. So I think there's a quote here specifically, which is why I had this article open. The erotica tag's removal was discovered last week on Famitsu by Capcom. But Capcom have only just shared an official statement. When developing Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, we tried our best to create a game that would please returning core fans and appeal to new players alike. It reads, as development progressed, we inevitably discovered that we couldn't include everything from the original game. In the case of the Erotica point system, this was something we discussed at length and decided to remove. Not so much as a response to a changing cultural climate, motherfuckers, but because we felt there's no need to have a reward point system on this basis. Additionally, when considering Frank's situation, it is not an appropriate reward for survival and not a skill required of a journalist trying to stay alive for the next 72 hours during a zombie apocalypse. It continues, however, players will still have the right to choose their Players will still have the right to choose their picture subjects freely, even though they won't receive points, it's up to them to decide what photos they will take to represent their journey. And then making fun of Twitter. And then yeah, making fun of Twitter. Don't want to upset the people who get mad when they can't see vagina bones. Is this an actual quote? Wait, because it's got a quote here. We don't want to. No, it's unspoken gist. Okay, then I don't care what they think. Yeah, so you can still inherently take those pictures and everything. It's just the game doesn't reward you. The PP, the PowerPoints is what they're is what they are. And you use those points to level up. So you can get these PP points from the photos, and then it can help you level up. I think this change doesn't fucking matter, and you really shouldn't give a shit about this. I think it's so unimportant. The photo mode, I think I used for the first day of my first playthrough, and then I just don't touch it. The only time I consistently would touch it is the opening cutscene. Because, like, that's an easy way of getting, like, half of a level right there. But otherwise, when you're actually in the game, I mean... it's just way better to use your time to head towards an objective as opposed to sitting there snapping photos to barely even get, like 1% of a level. It's like... the amount of points PP points you get from level, like, photos is so abysmally low that it's, like, just not worth you doing. So I am kind of excited to see the new photo stuff because they've added, like, filters and things like that. But I don't care about Erotica being taken out of this. The only time I even, like, take photos after the initial cutscene now is when I'm doing stuff for the Kent quest, which I guess I'll talk about. So one of the quests along the 3 days is with a character named Kent. He's one of the psychopaths in the game. After the first day, where he's kind of teaching you about how to sort of take photos and everything, about, like, positioning of the camera and, like, certain, like, PP points that survivors can do, or psychopaths can do, both of them can do. He tasks you with finding an erotica shot that gives you 700 PP. And there's, like, 2 good ways to get it, I think. There's one of the survivors, I forget her name, who got her outfit changed a little bit, and I don't care. I think it's unimportant. And then Jessie, you can, like, there's like a single shot where she's, like, sitting on a bed, and then you can see, like, her panties and then her cleavage, and that's how you get it easily. And now he wants you to take an outtake photo, so, you know, like a funny photo. And again, I think this fucking doesn't matter, and you shouldn't be making a big deal, because who fucking cares? It's like an abysmally small part of the game, like, it doesn't matter. And I guess you could then argue, then why bother changing it? I don't know, then fucking want it in the game, I guess. They didn't want to promote you being a creep. Or they just wanted to torture people that like that type of stuff. I don't know, take your pick. But I think it overall doesn't matter, and who fucking cares? Alright. This next one's a big section, the voice acting. Because I know that this is kind of a controversy. So, the original guy who voiced Frank, and I think everything, right? Let me look. Frank West. Almost everything. So the original voice actor TJ Rotolo voiced it in Dead Rising, Case West, Off the Record, Dead Rising. He's in Dead Rising 3. I guess I never played it much. And And then he gets replaced in Dead Rising 4, but nobody fucking cares about Dead Rising 4, so who cares? And then he's once again been replaced for the Deluxe Edition. But yeah, he's been Frank in pretty much everything minus 4, which killed the franchise, and now the upcoming Deluxe Remaster. And the new guy is, what's his name? Where is it? It was just right here. New guy is Jazz Patrick. Hold on, here's what they had to say about it. Speaking of Frank West, many in the Dead Rising community, including myself, have been trying to figure out who is voicing Frank West. Who is the talent voicing Frank West in Deluxe Remaster? The dev team, Jazz Patrick is the new voice of Frank West for Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. We're very pleased with the work he's done for this project. I know Frank West's original voice actor, TJ Rotolo, revealed he was not contacted by Capcom. Is it just casually here? No, it's not. So I think a fan sent him a message. And, I know at least TJ and I forget the voice actor for Chuck Green, but both of them are like pretty receptive to like the fans and will message with them and stuff. I think I've seen people follow Chuck Green, and then they'll follow the voice actor, and the voice actor's like, "Hey, thanks for the follow," and then it's like pictures of Chuck and stuff, and like him. So, they're pretty like happy with the characters, and they're pretty into the fan base and everything. Hey Terrence, I got a question. Do you know the reason why you weren't casted for Dead Rising upcoming remake? I think everyone would have loved and preferred you as Frank's original actor being brought back for the remake. Hello y'all, your question and support is seen and appreciated. The answer to your question is I have no answer. All I can say is that I've always been grateful for every opportunity to help bring Frank to life. An actor's job when called upon is to show up prepared, deliver your best, and when done, move on to the next mission. I simply wasn't called for this mission. The reasons are the producer's own. All the best to you and the DR fans. Appreciate y'all. So yeah. That's the official, yeah, they just didn't contact him. But was not contacted by Capcom about reprising his role. Is there any reason why you decided not to contact Rotolo to return and voice Frank West? We regret that we were unable to have TJ Rotolo reprise his role in Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster and accommodate the requests of our dedicated fans. We have selected a new voice actor for Frank West, but we sincerely appreciate all that TJ Rotolo has done for the Dead Rising series and wish him the best in his future endeavors. I wanted to see if I could find a voice, like an interview with Rotolo.
So much as the person that much, and
Shit, hold
popular person with his character Frank West. Everybody loves Frank West. How you doing, Terrence?
Good. How you doing?
Good, good. Hey, can you give us a little background for people who are not too familiar with what everything you do in Hollywood?
Well, certainly. I'm an actor and also a stuntman. I moved here in like the sort of mid to late 90s, and I was lucky enough to have a good group of friends and started working fairly quickly in the industry, both as a stuntman and as an actor. And
well, I had a theory that he they like heard him and he's like, he sounds a little too old for the role. But no, he sounds fine. Fuck. Well, that gives more credence to this stuff. All right, so I think I can't really find like a way of figuring out if somebody is in union or not. Because I mean, I just talked about it with Drew, but yeah, if it's a union American person, they'd have to pay the American rate, and obviously that's more expensive. So if they could just pay a cheaper rate, I mean, I understand. It makes sense. I've seen a lot of people mention that TJ Bertolo, the original voice actor of Frank, is in a union now. So that's why they wouldn't go with him. Instead, they went with Jazz Patrick, who I can't find if anyone here is in a union. I've just heard it's just Reddit threads of people saying it is, so I guess take that as you will. Because I also looked at Lily Gao, who voices Ada Wong in RE4, and she was like the replacement, compared to what's her name? Jolene Anderson, who apparently also joined a union, and then she wasn't brought back, and instead they brought Lily Gao in to voice Ada instead of Jolene, who's in the Resident Evil 2 remake. So unfortunately, I can't find a ton of credence towards if they unionize, if they specifically won't hire union people, probably because it pays more, but they'd have to pay more. but unfortunately I can't find anything specific, so that's probably the reason. I want to see Chaz Patrick. I want to hear Frank a bit in the remaster. YouTube. Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster Frank voice. So, obviously, there's been a bunch of people happy and people upset. I think what I heard was fine, of Frank, but I want to hear it a bit more right now while I'm in analysis mode.
Hello there.
Huh?
You're the reporter, aren't you?
Yeah?
You came alone.
Yeah, I'm freelance. You know, going the battlefield alone, no crew. So, what's going on around here anyway?
It's okay. It's fine. So far is what I think.
You came by helicopter, didn't you? What did you see from the
The line is still there. So far, this dialogue, I think it's 1-to-1 right now.
Oh. If it were just a riot, I doubt the military would quarantine the entire area. The moratorium on information getting out is a little extreme, in my opinion.
That's new dialogue.
There's,
That's a different line.
Something else I can't put my finger on. Doesn't sound like civil disobedience. It's too quiet.
Almost as if everyone's already dead.
Yeah. So
I
why
guess
don't
what
you
are
just
people
tell me
thinking?
already? What's going on?
I think you'd better see for yourself. This, my friend.
Red. Oh shit.
I think you'd better.
September 19th. That's the only day we got. He sounds okay. I think realistically, he'll be fine. It's okay. I assume most of the dialogue you can just replace. You can copy and paste over, and then I don't know, somebody's gonna use fucking AI or some shit. I don't know. I think it's okay. I think it's pretty fucked up that obviously union people get kind of screwed over. But I don't know. Assuming it's not awful throughout the rest of the game from what we just watched, I'm sure it'll be okay. Just something we have to get used to. I understand for a lot of them that, like, obviously trying to get the old voice actor back might not just work as well. So I don't know. I don't think there's been any statements from the other voice actors about why they're not returning. I think it's just been Frank's. So I guess we'll just kind of have to keep our ear to the ground and see. And obviously, if maybe when the game comes out, we'll all be like, this guy fucking sucks. Or we'll all quickly get used to it. And we're like, actually, this isn't that bad. Some of these line deliveries are pretty solid. So, there's one more thing. Cliff. Alright, is this it? Okay, so yeah, this is the new one. So I'm just gonna let it play and then we'll talk about it.
Can you, fella? Oh yeah, I know why. It's because you're a mole. I'm right. Aren't I? You are nothing but a filthy animal!
Okay. So in the original, hold on, let's just not have the VTubers on the screen. No, I'm not like that. So in the original, you run into Cliff. He obviously has lost his mind. He's killing people, and he refers to the player as a Viet Cong, because he is a Vietnam vet who has like lost it. But here, as you can hear,
Why? It's because you're a mole.
he refers to you as a mole. very different than saying you're a Viet Cong. So part of me, we're going to have to look into this a little bit. Part of me wonders why they'd make this change. One of my theories, which we're about to go into, is that the year of the original game takes place like 2006-ish. So it'd be like 40-ish years, 50 years after Vietnam. So it makes sense for a guy sort of to maybe look this age. But the remaster takes place here in the year of 2024, meaning that the guy would probably be in his 60s, 70s. So it wouldn't really make sense that he'd look like this. That's my current theory on why they changed Cliff's dialogue. Let's see if we can find more on it though. So the first thing I noticed in one of these gameplays is that just trying to find a way of figuring out what time frame this is. This is like a gameplay walkthrough from Ruba, I guess. I see 1972 engraved on the watch. I don't know if that's... I don't think it'd be the year it was made. I assume it's just the year the company was made. I don't... Is there any other chance of... Like, let's see if I can find a time where it pops a date.
On the other side of the warehouse, you'll find Paradise Plaza. There's lots of shops and pretty big ones.
Let's go to... So unfortunately, it seems the way they handle that now is this. It doesn't say the date, it's just... It is... Well, it says it's this day and then it's this hour. And I assume you can make it not 1329. I can't find anything on the physical actual release date of like what year the Deluxe Remaster takes place. So again here, original Dead Rising video game takes place in 2006. So again, you could feasibly have a Vietnam vet look like that. But again, if it shoots ahead 18 years, I mean that's 18 years to put on somebody's body. So they wouldn't look as young as that if they were able to serve in Vietnam. I think Vietnam, you had to be 18. Vietnam draft age 18. Two lotteries determine the order of construction of 1970. Okay, so let's say he's 18 and 70, so you shoot ahead 30 years, so he's 38. So yeah, he'd be about 42-ish, give or take. He'd be in his 40s, right? Which is about the right age range for this. I'd say this. You could say that this is a 40-year-old man, and I'd say sure. Sure, he looks like you could say he's a 40-year-old man. But again, if he's in his 40s and then we shoot ahead 20 or 18? Yeah, 18 years. He's now late 60s, early 70s. So it like wouldn't look like this. Vietcong calls him a communist. Right, instead of filthy animal, he calls you communist. And then here he calls you a bull and a filthy animal. Fans who criticize Cam from the changes. Cliff's PTSD from the Vietnam War is one of his defining characteristics. I don't think there's any actual news on this. I think it's just, hey, they did this thing right now. I don't think. I wish there's like I could get an actual explanation. Just some like hints here and there. But it seems like they've kind of hidden as much tracks as they can in all the footage we've got. So I mean, obviously I could go find somebody else's footage and comb through.
Hello there.
All right. Nope. Intro does not have any date. So yeah, the best I can say is either I think there's two explanations for what's going on with Cliff. Fuck. One is that they've moved the game's time frame up ahead a bit, so Vietnam would not work anymore. I guess it's just some random war. They could have done like the Iraq War or something. I don't know. They could have done that, but they decided not to. Just some random thing with a mole and then calling you an animal. Or for some reason they didn't feel comfortable with the Vietnam and calling Vietnamese people animals. Either thing, I guess. I guess it does suck a little bit. I think it does take away from this character a little bit. Granted, this is a side character. This character has no importance on the plot. And I mean, this character is entirely missable. So yeah, it's probably a change that they shouldn't have done, but I don't think it's end of the world like some people have sort of made it out to be. Is there any other big changes? Big changes in Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. Granted, I know one of the things they changed is now in overtime mode. You can like fast forward time. I think you do that in the base game. You can also like save, which is good. I'm fine with that because I did not want to sit here for 16 hours. Game's a woke piece of crap. We're boycotting this shit. I entirely disagree with you. In fact, I bought a copy already. I disagree that it's a woke piece of crap. Is there any other has hordes of new features? I was wondering, the hordes of new features up to 4K graphics, new save functionality. I think it like auto saves now. It does. I think it's the Dead Rising 3 and 4. We're transitioning into a new area. Technically, auto saves. Modern controls. I've heard the aiming while being able to shoot trivializes some bosses, as if they weren't already trivial anyway. As if you couldn't pick up an overpowered weapon at like the beginning of the game and 3-shot bosses anyway. So I think that's whatever. Improved NPC AI. That's a good change. Good. I'm glad they're adding more photography features because, again, after the initial like day of like in-game day of using it, I realized it wasn't worthwhile. Updated UI. I've seen some of the color change. It's weird that they changed the color of the PP and health. They like flipped it. I don't know why. So all the dialogue is vocal. There's a bunch of languages. Oh, I've heard that Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster Gore. Not Gore, Dismemberment. I think it's Dismemberment. I've heard they've got rid of the Dismemberment. I doubt there was such a large feature. Okay, that's too far back. God, I wish I wasn't stuck going into Reddit articles. Dismemberment, gore, no. Blood. Check it. Run away from the ball and your land. No. So I think we've spotted that there's no like dismemberment, limb damage and stuff like that. I've heard that's a thing. I haven't seen any proof that that's a thing or that it isn't a thing. I've kind of been avoiding gameplay as much as I can, despite the fact I've played the original a bunch of times. So I don't know. I wonder if that's a Chinese market thing, if the Chinese market isn't as happy with that stuff nowadays. But again, they could just remove it for the Chinese version of the game instead of removing it for all versions, like with Larry. They could just, change it for the Chinese version instead of all of them. I don't know. I also wonder if, because everything is so, like, higher res and everything, if they tried doing, like, body parts and chunks of flesh and stuff, and were like, oof, this runs like shit. Let's not do that. I think one of those two is probably the real answer. Again, until we get, like, an actual answer. Unfortunately, I think a lot of this stuff is going to be after the game comes out. They'll start talking about this stuff. Because by then, people have already bought the game if they're going to buy the game. And have probably put in enough hours to not be able to refund it. Whereas beforehand, it could drive sales away from the game. And obviously, they want the game to do well. We all want the game to do well to revive the franchise, so... It's kind of a keeping your cards close to your hand. Cards close to your chest type of moment. I think... Do you want to go back to me for this part? Yeah, let's go back to me for this part. Deactivate, reactivate. Alright, quick recap. I think Larry is getting changed because either they looked at the original and thought, I don't like that, or something to do with the Chinese market. I assume one of those two is the real thing. Although, granted, I can't imagine why they didn't just make Larry a normal Chinese-looking guy, or Larry a normal Chinese-looking guy. I think that's what I fucking said. I don't know why they didn't do that instead of like entirely changing him. I feel like that would have worked, but I guess if they wanted to do an American one design, it inherently I think it's fine. You see that character for all of 3 minutes and then he dies. They've removed erotica, which I don't care about. I just so badly don't care. It's unimportant to me. I think the voice actor stuff kind of sucks, but I understand from a financial point of view why you'd want to do it. Go with like a cheaper option, the non-union option. But in general, it still like sucks that that's the way it is. But I get it. That's probably why, realistically. And then I think again the Cliff stuff is either they've moved the game's time frame up ahead, so it doesn't make sense he'd be a Vietnam vet, or they just didn't want to deal with that. Because I mentioned that because he's like, you're Vietnam, you're an animal, or was that what he said? Fuck, I don't remember. But like you could just like change the dialogue a little bit to make it work that he's still a Vietnam vet and that he's still going fucking nuts. So I don't know why they change it. I think that's probably the worst change so far I've seen. Granted, I mean he's also a side character, so it doesn't super matter. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of it I just don't care. I don't really care about the changes. I don't think they're doing it to appease a woke mob. I think that's just grifters trying to sell views, which I will potentially be clickbaiting in a way as well. I still haven't decided on what the thumbnail of this video looks like. But I think for the most part, it's unimportant stuff that's actually getting changed, and the people that make money off of fake outrage are what really care about it. I think the important parts are the gameplay and sort of the story, which seem to be, I mean, 1-to-1 for the game, and I mean, that's really what I care about the most. If the game is still Dead Rising 1 and still feels and plays like Dead Rising 1, with some updates to like the AI and stuff, I think that's the important part. As long as it still captures that spirit of the game, you know, I think that's the important part, as opposed to some of these little individual pieces. Obviously, if you take too much away, it starts not being the game, but I think at least what they've revealed to be different isn't such big changes that it takes away from what the game is. And that's my spiel on it. Cool. I'll be playing it a ton anyway, regardless. I'm super excited. I think the game's going to be great. I think it's going to be fantastic. I think all the changes we'll probably get used to very quickly. We'll still be like, I kind of liked it better this way, but at the end of the day, we'll be fine with it. I'm super confident in that, and I hope the game does well, so we also see 2 get remastered, in which case we'll probably have this similar discussion with 2 on some of the changes, because that game gets way more sexual and way more flirty than this one, and I guess has a couple more risque things in it that they might change if they wanted to get rid of erotica. I don't know, but yeah, I'm still excited for the game.